9/11 is a day the world thought no one would ever forget. However, students at Gran View this year would have no memory of that day. This month marks its 18 years anniversary. Viewfinders set out to find people on campus who are old enough to remember that day. This is what they remember.
I remember an announcement. The principal gave an announcement over the intercom saying that some historic event had happened, and then our teacher turned on the TV and we saw the burning buildings.
I remember just being confused, I think, as an 8th grader. I didn't quite know what that meant or what was happening. But all the teachers were sad, were just shocked and sad. So I think a lot of my emotions probably fed off theirs.
I remember it clearly. I was sitting in class. It was my first year of graduate school working on my master's degree, and we were in a class talking about how we needed to make spaces inclusive for students of all race, class, gender, sexuality, religion, nationality.
I remember the news clips of the first plane hitting and then having that tension and just really shocked response when the second plane hit. Obviously that kind of terror event had never happened that close to home.
I usually get up pretty early in the morning and I turned on the news. I don't know if it was CNN or whatever, but it had pictures of the airplanes crashing into the Twin Towers. I couldn't believe it.
I think 9/11, especially for the first year or so afterward, just made me really nervous and anxious about being in a public place.
I think over the years I've learned a lot about just racial profiling, religious inequity, and making stereotypes based on religion. I've learned a lot. I think a lot of education came out around that.
It shaped how I approach teaching, because one of the things that was immediately clear in the aftermath of that is that we went to our worst impulses.
Well, I think it showed, especially the United States and perhaps the world, that terrorism can strike any time, that no country is safe.
The personal stories for me really woke up the need for us to come together as humanity. It was a decision point for me whether I was going to be, again, fearful and bitter, or whether I was going to focus on the way that the nation rallied around that.
I was in graduate school at Nebraska, and the chancellor had to send out a mass email to the entire campus reminding students not to take out their anger and their fear and their frustration on people who looked differently, had different religions, spoke different languages. Didn't stop students from doing it. I watched my classmates stop coming to class because they were afraid, they were fearful. Some of them received death threats, some of them were assaulted. Some of my classmates had family members murdered as hate crimes in the aftermath of 9/11. So as much as 9/11 was a tragedy, we didn't go to our best places afterwards. And I think we forget that. I think we try and hide that. And I'm reminded of that consistently, especially in classrooms when people very quickly forget that the whole point of the grand experiment that was America was about making an open and inclusive place for everyone. 9/11 is a reminder of how often we failed to do that.